Following the fight bandit. But, welcome to Inside Alicyn's Wonderland, the podcast that goes through the looking glass and down the rabbit hole into the wild and wonderful world of animation.
I hope you guys can hear that. Oh, so that was my intro bumper for Inside Alicyn's Wonderland, the second reboot of that, which was the podcast reboot. And that was the intro bumper with a cute little song that I love. And that's your retro moment for the day. Hello. Hi, Prithvi Papala. MC Spicy Dan, Real Magic, BC Actors Studio. Hey, Real Magic TV, it's Wonderland Wednesday. Thank you guys so much for tuning in live. It just brings such good energy to know that you're here and checking it out. This is Alicyn's Wonderland, and today's guest is actually Daniel Ross. Daniel Ross is a voice actor. You might know him as the voice of Donald Duck for Disney Junior, as well as, yay, hi Sebastian. Unfortunately, I'm not going to add any guests right now. We're just waiting for, but feel free to ask some questions. We're just waiting for Daniel. But yeah, he also, no, I haven't seen your YouTube channel yet, but I will check it out. Hey, Jeff, it's good to see you. Yeah, he's also Lucky Leprechaun on the commercials. He is the voice of Starscream in the Transformers video game. So lots of classic stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and add him right now. Let's see, there's Daniel. And we'll get this started. That's okay, Jeff. You were there in spirit. I saw you jumped on at the very end, so that was cool. It always, it's practically not the show without you, though. Hey, Daniel, can you hear me?
I can. Hello there, Alicyn.
Hi, it's good to see you.
It's good to see your face. I've missed you.
I've missed you, too. It's been a long time since we've talked, like at least hours.
At least hours. I mean, it's crazy.
Oh, thank you, Sebastian. I really appreciate that comment. And I love DC Superhero Girls, and it would be amazing to be on the show someday. Hey, Jeff. Yeah, it's so good to see you, Daniel. You have an excellent ring light.
Oh, thank you. I bought it myself.
Yeah. Well, I used to tell people, you've got such great skin. And people kept saying, oh, your skin's looking so good. I'm like, no. You know what? Seriously, it's the ring light.
Yeah, no, my skin has gone to poopage over the quarantine, so the ring light helps tremendously.
What are you eating?
Everything I'm not supposed to eat. All the pizzas, all the crackers, and junk foods, and yes.
The good stuff.
All the good stuff. All the comfort foods. It keeps me sane.
Fun. You got to find that balance between health and fun. It's a tricky one. I noticed you were eating pizza in one of your TikTok videos that I just watched.
It was a leftover slice, and I was like, what could I do that would be silly? And I'm like, grab the cold pizza and eat it for people to laugh.
Yes. And laugh I did, and get hungry I also did. And I almost ordered pizza for dinner. Stacey Aswad posted like a cookie poster. She had a cookie post last week for National Cookie Day, and like all week long I thought about cookies. That's the power of the gram. I thought about cookies, and eventually,
if you say it enough times, Facebook and Instagram will start sending you ads for cookies. Sometimes I just try to trick the algorithm, and I'm like, boy, I could really use some diapers. And then, I just see what happens.
I could really use some hot, strapping young men.
To each their own.
In diapers. See what happens.
I know. Don't infer anything from that.
See what happens. Hey guys, so for anybody that's tuning in that's coming over from Daniel's side, this is a weekly Instagram TV show called Inside Alicyn's Wonderland, and we go through the rabbit hole to interview people that work in animation and games. So next week we actually have JP Karliak.
Yes!
Yeah,
Love
Boss
JP.
Baby, and he's on the new Troll series. It's going to be awesome. And then we have Lori Allen coming up in 2 weeks.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
yeah, she's Pearl on SpongeBob as well as in Family Guy. She's an on-camera actress, writer, amazing talent. So tune in
She's
for
also
that.
from Maryland, like me.
I didn't know you were from Maryland.
I'm
Tell us
originally
about
from
you,
Maryland.
Daniel. Tell us. So what was little Daniel like living in Maryland? Obviously, you didn't do it.
Oh, he was a little troublemaker for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
Tell
no,
us.
I've always gotten in trouble doing voices, whether it was impersonating teachers or friends or cartoon characters, doing prank phone calls when I shouldn't be doing them. Yeah, I was a little troublemaker and a performer, and I loved theater, and so I caught the acting bug early on in life, and yeah, that's kind of been the through line through my life is my acting career. Studied Shakespeare, did forensic competitions, did musical theater, for school, did international competitions, and I loved acting until about
Okay.
college. Till
So,
about
well,
college.
tell us, what was the worst thing you ever did? Did you get in any trouble with the law? Did you, can you spill some,
No, I didn't get in trouble with the law, surprisingly, but there was an incident. I don't know if anybody remembers the Jerky Boys. They used to come out
yes,
with these CDs of pranks. Yeah, you remember.
of course
So
I
I
do.
redid their entire second album. My dad, who's a doctor, would have his little micro cassette recorders laying around the house. So I would put people on speakerphone and I'd record on the little micro cassette and I would do all these skits, and I would parade it around school until my parents got wind of it, and I never saw it again.
Wow. I mean, it's kind of like it was all laid out there for you, you
It
know,
kind of
the
was. I
future.
never realized the voice side of things was even a thing. I mean, I've always had kind of a quirky voice. I've always, played kind of wacky, high energy characters,
Hmm.
like for on camera and for on stage. And it just never occurred to me that, hey, this is a job until much later in life.
Yeah.
And my
When
good
was that?
friend, I'm sorry?
When was that?
So back in not 20, it was like 1996-ish. There was a TV series called Beast Wars Transformers. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a bit of a Transformers fan. I have a bit of a,
Ooh.
I have a bit of an addiction here. So this is my creative space and office. Um, but I've always been a huge Transformers fan, and I don't know what it was, but the quality of the voice acting on that particular show, it was like this major catharsis. I'm like, oh my gosh, these are real people doing these voices and being paid like a job. Oh my gosh. So it kind of led me down this path of looking into voiceover, getting to know the people behind the voices, and I was just fascinated by it. So David Sobolov, who was the voice of Depth Charge in Beast Wars, is
Yeah.
one of my closest friends and mentors, and he encouraged me to come out to LA and actually take a shot at this industry. He saw something in me, and I did my very first demo with him. He produced my first demo, and it opened up a bunch of doors. And then, in 2007, I had my opportunity to audition for Transformers the movie with Michael Bay, and, nothing happened as a result of that. And then I got a call from Activision, and they said, hey, we'd like for you to audition for a couple characters. And I booked Starscream. It was like the biggest thing that had ever happened to me in my life.
Wow.
I
Wow.
have over here, I stole a movie poster right here. This was from the Blockbuster store that I used to be a store manager at. I'm dating myself clearly now. But yeah, it was so surreal. This game that I worked in was on the shelves, and I'm renting it to people who have no idea that I was participating or playing the lead antagonist.
Were you in
So
Maryland at the time?
I was
Wow.
in Maryland and working at Blockbuster full time and producing my schlocky independent horror movies, starting with Ninjas versus Zombies,
Yes.
which is on Amazon Prime if anybody's
The
curious.
trailer to it. Yeah. So that was your passion at the time? You wanted to be an on-camera actor?
So after
Producer?
college, I was studying musical theater, and I loved it. I loved the theater, but there was something about it. There was an element of magic to it that just wasn't there for me. And so I wanted to pursue film and TV.
Yeah.
And I was a, professional extra, in the area. I would work on different projects that would come around,
sure.
but very, unsatisfied with the opportunities that I was being given.
Yeah. Were you like one of those extras like me when I'd like drive to Rhode Island from Boston and be in the back hoping to get like discovered by the director?
Yep. And I would preen myself and my hair the same way you would.
Okay.
You're much prettier than I could ever be, but yeah, essentially the same thing. And I'd always be like, oh man, I can't wait to get to the food truck, but all those union actors get to go first. Darn it. So yeah, I did those productions, and then my best friend, Justin Timpain, we walked around a Blockbuster one day and we're like, hey, what movie don't we see? What do we not see on the shelves? And we had just watched Clerks 2, and we're like, let's buy the Quick Stop. Let's do something together. Let's make something. So we maxed out our credit cards, and we hobbled together this
always a great idea.
Independent horror comedy called Ninjas vs. Zombies, and somehow we got it internationally distributed. We got it on Netflix. We got it in Blockbuster stores, and it was like, oh my gosh, we should follow this up. So we did Ninjas vs. Vampires, and then we did Ninjas vs. Monsters. And I just started producing films left and right so that I could facilitate my on-camera work. And then it was, okay, well, I'm going to write so that I can produce, so that I can act. So it was like I was feeding myself, essentially, in what I was able to do.
But were you feeding yourself?
In between takes, yes. In between takes. I'll never forget, on the set of Ladder 49 with John Travolta, I was Joaquin Phoenix and Jay Hernandez's stand-in. And this was a massive, like, firefighters movie, and it was such an amazing experience. But I was working retail during the day, and then I would drive to Baltimore at night, work overnight, drive home, take a shower, feed myself, go right back to work, then go right back to Baltimore. And I did that for 3 months. That's how I earned my SAG card. And, when you're in your early 20s, you got the energy to do that kind of stuff. Now I would be dead.
Yeah, but, that's why people are supposed to have babies in their 20s.
Oopsie.
Just party all night. Wasted my time.
Oopsie. Maybe that's not in the cards. I don't know.
Yeah, you're the man portion. So
that's true.
You're still on the hook. You're still on the hook.
I still have my dimples.
Yeah, you still have your dimples. Wow. Yeah. So Maryland. So how did you get from Maryland to sunny Los Angeles?
Through a series of unfortunate events, really.
It's the lemony snickets of Daniel Ross's life.
Yes, indeed. I was in a 7-year relationship. I was engaged. I had bought a house. Didn't work out. There was some tragedy in the family. My mom was diagnosed with cancer, and it was just it was a really crazy time. So I moved in with my mom to help her heal and to help myself heal. And after a period of time, I was able to, clear out some debt, sell off some of my prized possessions and have a little bit of a cushion. And I just looked at the situation.
Transformers.
There were a couple real rarities that I had in my collection that I had to let go of. But I always said they're just things. I can always buy them again in the future if I really want to.
Now you can buy all of them. Wow.
Now you buy all the things. Yes. But there are more important things, to me. And at the time, I was contemplating a run for state Congress because I was interested in bringing film credits back to the area. We had a lot of major productions that would come through and get all the film credits. And as an independent film producer, we got bupkis. We got nothing. So I was looking into that possibility. And then I said, no, I need this time to grow as an individual. And I've always wanted to go to that mystical land where dreams come true and try Los Angeles. So I packed up my car, I drove cross country, and I've been here now for 6 years. And it's just been such a wild journey.
Wow, I must have met you when you first came out here then.
You did. I had a mohawk and much more hair at the time.
You're still kind of the noobs. That's great. Wow, you've had a great 6 years then.
It's been, I say this with zero ego and complete humbleness, but I knew that voiceover was something that if I focused all of my energy and attention on, I'd be able to do something. I'd be able to do something with it. Whereas if I came here and said, I'm an on-camera actor, I'm a voice actor, I do mocap, I do stunts, all these things, maybe I wouldn't get any traction. So I said, all right, I'm going to set a goal of 5 years. I'm just going to focus on voiceover, and I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to take my shot. And if it doesn't work, then, we'll pick up the pieces and see what happens. And so far, so good. I made the right decision.
Yeah. So tell us, Starscream and Transformers game, that was in Maryland. And then you came out to LA. Did you have an agent at the time?
Yeah. Yes, Starscream from Transformers. Bring me the all-spark human, or it'll be your last. Yeah. Yes, one of my favorites. Yeah, that was a whole campaign. I knew that there was going to be a new movie, and because I was such a huge fan, I was like, I have to find a way to participate in this. I have to do whatever I can. And I used my motto, it's the squeaky wheel that gets the grease, to think outside of the box. And so I had some of my closest friends who were artists help me create a comic book that featured myself in a story with the Transformers. And I sent that to Michael Bay. I sent it to Steven Spielberg and Tom DeSanto just to have an audition. That was my only goal. I just won an audition. And I got my wish. I was able to audition. So it was like, oh my gosh. I set my mind to this, I thought outside of the box, and I did it. What else could I do? And then, of course, ultimately, I got the chance to work with Activision. Keith Farley actually was one of the directors on that. And Carl Weathers, Apollo Creed, was my voice director for the days that I worked. So that was a whole crazy thing. So exciting.
Wow. That must have just been such an amazing experience. And so that
it was out of this world. It was out of this world.
And so did that help get you your first agent?
Yes and no. It took some time for me to pursue it because this was back in 2007. Okay. And I was still producing independent films. There was no way I could move out to Los Angeles to really give a shot, a bona fide shot at doing voiceover. But I would do like fan dubs. I would do, radio commercials. My very first international commercial was a condom commercial from Italy, which was all played for laughs. Random obscure fact about me.
Is that on the internet somewhere?
I've never seen it. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
And I don't say that just so you can't find it. I've never seen it on the internet, but it's out there. And through networking and connections to other people through radio and other TV stations, I would just get little bits here and there. And it was a hobby. It really was a hobby while I pursued my on-camera and production endeavors. And eventually it occurred to me, why am I not doing this full time? This is so much fun. It's amazing. I feel so engaged. I feel so alive when I do it. So eventually I made up my mind. But I would love to get back to on camera someday. That would be so much fun.
How have things shifted for you with COVID-19?
Not dramatically, believe it or not. I feel very fortunate to be in a side of the entertainment industry that's relatively insulated, because I had the ability to step into my closet and record from home. I had the right setup, and there were things I had to adjust. But, I've worked on TV shows, video games, all from the comfort of my home. And that's just something I count my blessings for, because I know not everybody has had it so easy this year. So, if I was on camera, if my focus was on camera, I think I would have a different experience of 2020. A lot of my on-camera friends are not doing too well. They're looking into voiceover to try to shore up their work, and it's a great industry. I love the people in voiceover. For me, I think voice actors, you are included in this, of course. Voice actors are some of the most warm, genuine, kind, and happy individuals you will ever meet. Yes, and funny and entertaining. But sorry, I'm a talker. Forgive me if I step over. It's hard to hear sometimes. When I started going to conventions after Transformers, this is what you were asking before, I started meeting other voice actors. I started hearing their stories, and I really felt like I found my tribe. And I loved the experience. I mean, who doesn't love going to a convention and having people buy your schlocky prints or whatever, and have autographs and stuff? Who doesn't love that? But I loved being able to see the influence in other people's lives and what these characters mean to them. Because we're in a bubble when we record. This is our job. Yeah. But then you get to interact with people, and they remind you of how much it means to them. And that's been such a joy for me, especially stepping into the shoes of Donald Duck, to be able to see the impact that it's had on people.
Yeah. So tell us about that. What was it like? How did you end up auditioning? How did everything go?
Sure. So my agent at the time called me up and said, "So you do a Donald Duck voice, right?" And I was like, "Yes, I do."
Did you already knew that? You'd gone to the office one day,
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you get an agent, you got to say, "Here are my strengths. Here's what I do." And it was never anything that I anticipated ever using. I would use my Donald Duck voice to bark like a pug. So that was how I anticipated using it someday, some way. And, she contacted me and said, "Hey, there's an audition for Donald Duck. Go ahead and read for it." And I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is what I'm here for. I'm in the right place at the right time. Let's take our, So I threw in my audition, and they wanted it to sound very close to the original Clarence Nash, and I did my best. But, it was a parlor trick for friends. It was never anything that I, anticipated doing in front of a microphone that hears every noise that comes out of your face, every stomach gurgle, every booger you've got in your nose. Everything comes out when you're on the microphone. So after a series of weeks of waiting, I got a call back. And I ended up going down to Disney TV Animation, and I'm walking those halls with all the amazing pictures of all the shows and the actors, and I'm just in awe of where I am, because it was like, oh my gosh, I'm at Disney, of all places. This is incredible. This is where dreams come true. And yeah, so I took my shot. I did my best, and I waited, and I got another call back. And then I was in Maryland visiting my friends and family, and my agent calls me and says, "They'd like to see you one more time." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm here. What do I do? Do I get on a plane? Do I go?" And they're like, "No, they'll wait for you." And I went, "Oh, they're going to wait for me? For moi?" So it was a song that I had to sing. I don't remember the song off the top of my head. It was 5 years ago. But, I added some vibrato to the voice. I really tried to stretch and play with it, put my stamp on it. And, a couple days later, I got the call, "You got the job." And my life changed. My mom, who taught me the voice when I was a little kid, she would tuck me in at night and she would say, "Oh, Daniel, I love you so much." And I would say, "Oh, Mom, I love you too." And that was like our thing. And after the cancer scare and everything else, my mom is an artist. And every day I would come home from school, she had a sketch or a drawing or a painting or a sculpture that she was working on. And she was always my creative inspiration. And after the cancer, that spark kind of left a little bit. And it was always so sad for me. And this happening to both of us, to me and my whole family, I got to fly her out here to go to Disney Studios and see where the show is made, meet the producers, go down to Legends Plaza and see where all the handprints are. And that spark came back. And that to me was true Disney magic, that this rare opportunity was able to not just give me, but to my family as well. And I carry that with me forever. That is always the most special part of it all.
Wow, that's so touching.
Yeah, it's touched me very appropriately.
Is your mom still in Maryland?
She is. She is. In fact, she was messaging me saying, "How do I get on Instagram Live?"
Ah!
I can't tell you right now. She's
She's
just
like, I see
learning
it's
TikTok for the
starting right
first
now.
time.
What do I do? Do I download the app?
Yeah, right. Where do I go on my TV?
So your mom, she really can do that Donald Duck voice, Jay. I feel like we should have her on the show.
She can, and she's good at it.
How did you learn
Mine
it?
is a little bit more refined, but she taught me the mechanism and how to do it. And yeah, that's something very special that she and
Can
I
you show us?
share. What's that?
Can you show us?
How to do the voice? It's hard for me to show. Like if I could put a camera in my mouth, maybe, but there's an air pocket right here, and like any muscle, you have to work it. But I use my tongue to articulate. Sometimes I will substitute letters. Like hard consonants are difficult. So like for a T, I might use a K or make the sound of a K, and it comes out like a T. But it really just depends on the situation. So a lot of people ask me that. How can you show me how to do the voice? And I'm like, no, I really can't. I can only tell you how it kind of works. And I always said if for any reason I lost the ability to use my voice, if I couldn't speak anymore, I would use buccal speech, which is what that is called. Donald Duck voice is called buccal speech. And I would use that. So if I ever got, pulled over by the cops one day, I'd be like, "Oh, officer, I'm so sorry." Whatever. But thankfully, I still have my voice and can speak in many ways.
Yeah. I'm sure there's probably a lot of people that are tuning in right now that know you from TikTok. Is that right? You guys raise your hand in the room.
Ava's just said, OMG, I just tried and I spat. Yes, it can get messy. It can get very messy, especially with the tantrums.
Oh, yeah. I feel like I need to work on that.
The tantrums?
In the privacy of my own home.
Well, I can teach you one thing. That's basically a circular pull of the cheek. So if you get the thing and you can flap the cheek flaps.
I'm left-handed, so. Oh, that's it. That sounds like a chicken, huh? This is just nobody wants to
for anybody
this, right?
tuning in live. These are the kinds of questions.
Much fun right now. So a few people from TikTok. By the way, anybody that's just tuning in, this is Alicyn's Wonderland, a weekly show where we interview people that work in animation and games, all about their careers. So come in to the Wonderland and see for a while. Wonderland. Go ahead and follow.
The water's warm. It's inviting.
Follow me, and you'll get all the weekly updates. Also, in the bottom, under Daniel's chin.
Just went through my head. Push around in there, find something good.
There's a question box. You see? Yeah, you see it? It's way down there. Oh, you can't see where I'm pointing, but maybe Daniel. Sorry. I hope that didn't hurt. There's questions, so if you guys, when we get to the end, we'll try and take some questions from the audience.
Yes,
so be sure to tune in for that. So yeah, TikTok, you kind of a big deal and blowing up over there. Talk to me about TikTok.
Oh man. TikTok was just a means for me to entertain myself at the beginning of this quarantine in March. I really had no aspirations of doing anything other than just having some fun and tapping into some creativity and getting more in touch with who I am. Because, as much as I love voiceover, I've always loved doing on-camera work. And so giving myself the spotlight to be funny and do some things, with comedic timing and silly faces and whatnot, it felt like revisiting a facet of myself that I've missed for a very long time. So TikTok has given me the ability to get in better touch with myself, engage with my audience in a way that feels genuine to me. Again, no aspirations of doing anything big with it other than to just make some people laugh and to make myself laugh, because this has been a pretty yucky year. So it's really just been a godsend, and I'm so happy that I've been able to accrue an audience of people that enjoy what I do and, laugh at my shenanigans. We all could use a few more laughs these days. So I'm just happy to be doing that.
Well,
And it's exciting. I enjoy it. So I get back to my like production roots and like filmmaking and things like that. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Well, Jason's a big fan. He wanted me to let you know that.
Yeah, I see him follow my my Instagram stories.
Yeah, that's great. So Daniel, can we talk about a little bit about Lucky the Leprechaun? Can you do the voice for us?
Yes, I can. I actually just recently got a pop figure. There was a fan who brought me one of these at Stockton Con earlier this year, and I was like, "Oh, there's a pop figure! It must be mine." So I got that one. Yeah. Oh no, they're after me, Lucky Charms. They're magically delicious.
How long have you been doing that for?
I did Lucky for 2 years, from 2015 to 2017, and Lucky was very special for me because at the time when I moved to Los Angeles, I was working overnights managing the logistics process at Target. So all the trucks coming in, the freight going out, the employees who were exhausted working 2 or 3 jobs every day. I worked that from 9 p.m. until 8 a.m. every single day. And it was the most physically demanding job I've ever had in my life. But I had my days free, so I could audition, I could network, I could do lunch, I could do all those things. And when I finally started getting some traction in voiceover, I said, okay, my gut is telling me it's time to move on. And that was really scary because that was my anchor. This is how I pay my bills, and I'm taking a chance. But that's what I came out here to do. So when my gut told me now is the time, I signed up to drive for Lyft just so I would have something to do. But on my very last day working at Target, I'm driving off the parking lot after saying my goodbyes, and my agent calls me up, Michaela Hicks from Solid Talent, who's now at Vox. She calls me up and she says, "You booked Lucky." And I'm like, this is what the universe is telling me. You're doing the right thing. You're on the right path. Wow. People say, "Hey, you got lucky." And I'm like, yes, I did. I got very lucky. So that was really magical for me.
That's such a good
It was magically delicious.
Aww, that's great. And yeah, so I know that during quarantine you've also been producing some films. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit what you've been working on.
Oh, thank you. Just give me all opportunities to plug my stuff. Yeah, so there's a film that I produced called Christmas Cancellation, which is currently in the top, I think it's like the top 50 Christmas movies on Amazon Prime right now.
That's a pretty
it's an interesting sci-fi kind of Twilight Zone film about these characters in a comedic sitcom that basically become sentient to the fact that their show is about to be canceled. And so it takes place during the holidays, and it's a very interesting film, very difficult to speak of without spoiling it, but that is available on Amazon Prime. And then I shot a quarantine film called The Distanced, which I do have an on-camera appearance as a scientist in.
How did you?
It's a 20-minute love story about people who meet in quarantine with a sci-fi twist, because there's always got to be a twist. And right now that's going around the festival circuit, and we're winning a bunch of laurel leafs and just really excited that it's doing well. And then I also...
How did you go about making a movie during the pandemic?
Everybody had to work with their own equipment. And in some cases we would have to ship, lighting or, certain aspects to the other cast members. Excuse me. But it was...
Did you cast in LA?
I cast in LA for some of the other roles, but my buddy Justin Timpane, who I've done my other movies with, he actually plays the lead in this. So we cast our female lead out here in Los Angeles. Segunda Wood is also a voice, fellow CESDer. So she's involved as well. And I'm not sure when we're going to release it, to the public, probably after the new year. But it's a lot of fun. I'm really proud of it. And I also got reeled into another quarantine series called Vulgar Fantastico, by a good buddy of mine. His name is Larry Longstreth. He's an incredible filmmaker. And I play a puppet that is a demon. He's a demon puppet, a very friendly demon. He's a very friendly demon puppet, and yeah, it's a crazy little show. The humor is very dark, and I think apropos for the times. So we finished 3 episodes. There's another episode coming soon, and probably some more.
And where can people watch that?
YouTube. If you look up Vulgar Fantastico. Vulgar Fantastico. Everything else I've done is on Amazon Prime, all the Ninjas movies. I did a documentary called Trek Off the Motion Picture, which was about fan conventions for Star Trek, and there's even a Star Trek themed burlesque show that we put on in it, which was great. I was the host of this burlesque show, and I came out, instead of wearing pasties, I came out wearing pastries that I could eat, which was a lot of fun.
It's a show within a show.
It's a show within a show, that's right.
So meta.
I know. I like meta.
Are you excited for the holidays?
Honestly, no. I don't think I'm terribly excited for them. Mm-hmm. I think that the holidays are just days. I mean, there are some religious, implications and things for certain people. And in my opinion, days are days. And when Thanksgiving rolled around, it was kind of a reminder that this day is to be grateful for the things that you have in your life and to reflect. And I will celebrate with friends and family next year, when we actually can. Or maybe in June, or maybe in July. It doesn't matter because it's just a day, and you can celebrate those things when you want to. But this is something that we are all going through that's unprecedented. I mean, a once-in-a-century pandemic. And it happens to fall in our lifetimes, and we have to deal with it. But you have to make the best of the situation that's at hand. And so the holidays, I will gladly celebrate New Year's to say goodbye to 2020. That'll be refreshing. But the other holidays, I have the memories in my heart of what's special to me and what I will remember on those days. Mm-hmm. But I look forward to being able to make new memories in a safe environment where people can all come together finally.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Well, I think now is a good opportunity to segue into the audience questions.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's get excited, guys. That question mark at the bottom. Don't make me do it again. They're at the bottom of it. You can type your questions in there. So Jeff had asked, what's the story of how you wound up at CESD?
Hi, Jeff.
Is there
the story of CESD? Let's see here. So I met, Pat and Kathy, I think at Talkin' Tunes from Rob Paulson. Okay. I was very green and said, hey, I'd like to be on your roster. And they read me at one point, and I wasn't ready. I really wasn't ready. When I moved to LA, I was like, I got this acting thing in the can. I'm good. I don't need to learn anything else. And then I took Debbie Derryberry's workshop for the first time and went, I know nothing. Oh, my gosh. So, my journey began to just improve myself, work on myself, and eventually, once Donald Duck hit, there was an opportunity for me to look for different representation at the time, and CESD was like, come on in! So I got very lucky in that regard, and wound up with a really great team.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, well, lucky, like your Lucky Charms. Oh, did we know that Eric Bowles' birthday was a few days ago? No, I didn't know that. That slipped by. Happy birthday, Eric. You're not on here, but I'll have to shoot him a text and say happy birthday.
Hi, Eric. See, he and I have to do the dueling Daffy and Donald from Who Framed Roger Rabbit at some point.
Oh my gosh, yes, that's a TikTok waiting to happen.
I know, right? Oh my gosh.
That's so good. Is Bowles on TikTok too?
I don't know. If he is, I haven't seen him. I know Gray Griffin is on there. Rob Paulson just signed up. Debbie Derryberry's obviously on there. Who else? Elle Newlands is on there.
E.G. Daly, I think. Tara.
Yeah, E.G.'s on there. Valerie Rose Lohman is on there. Shelby Young is on there. And there are a bunch of other voice actors from all around the country that have been working TikTok for a while now. I did an interview actually last week with Caroline Spinola and Stefan Johnson, who are huge on TikTok right now and doing really wonderful things and so talented.
You did
and
the
this
interview.
weekend,
Did you do the interview on TikTok?
I did the interview here on Instagram. TikTok had the ability to do what we're doing right now, and then they got rid of it. So, hey, Instagram's where it's at. And then, of course, who else? John Bailey is on there.
Yeah, John Bailey it's so funny that he just jumped on. Hey, epic
Hey,
voice
John.
guy. Did you hear that your ears were about to be burning?
They have a tendency to do that. I have very hairy ears, so I have to keep them trimmed, otherwise I hear everything.
That's so funny. Yeah, that's fun. I have not been to the TikTok party, but yeah.
You got to join in. It's so much fun.
Oh, it sounds fun, but I just don't know how many parties I can be at one time. You know, I know it's
Oh,
fun,
come
but
on.
geez.
Come on. Use the potty, girl. You got this in the bag.
This is my first TikTok. Somebody record this, and then we'll make it into a TikTok. I'm in a weird mood tonight. Hello. Somebody's question is just Nolan North.
Nolan North.
Nolan
Yes,
North.
he is a voice actor.
He's a very talented voice actor. Thank you for that enlightening question.
Now, people may not know, you and I have actually worked together on a show before.
We did. That's an interesting point. Yes, they should have brought that up right at the beginning. What did we work on, Daniel?
The Tom and Jerry Show.
No, it was the new Tom and Jerry show.
The new Tom and Jerry Show.
The new and improved Tom and Jerry show.
That's right.
Yes.
And you played?
I played Toodles.
Yes,
Listen,
you did.
Tom, I've come into a fortune in canned sardines. And I played a couple other characters, throughout the years. I played like a super annoying, like next door neighbor girl. I don't remember. What about you? Tell us.
Yeah, I've been working. I was working on the show for 3 seasons, starting in season 3, then 4, then 5 with Chris Edgerly. We played a trio of German mice. And they would pitch our voices up, but I played a little German mouse named Rutger. That was just so much fun. And yeah, just utility voices all over the place. I played a version of Igor that they called Dave. Yes, master. That was so much fun.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, so we get to work together occasionally in this industry.
Yeah, but just not in person. But we are neighbors, so.
That's true.
I do see.
Well, we crossed paths a couple times in the studio. Like I was going out, you were coming in, and it's like, hey, you, all right, what's up? Hello, goodbye.
I know. You want to be like, hey, mind if I stick around and hang out?
Well, those are some of the most fun times too. I'll never forget. Here's a special story that I'll share with your
Gather
viewers.
around the campfire, kids.
Rusi Taylor, the voice of Minnie Mouse. I got to know her over the years in passing. We would say hello, how's your day going? And over time, our conversations would get a little bit more in depth. And I'll never forget, she gave me such a gift. And this was early last year. She was coming out of the booth and she sees me and she goes, "Oh, Daniel, do the voice, honey." And I'm like, "Which voice?" "You know which voice. Do the voice." So I started doing Donald Duck, and she broke out into Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and we had a whole conversation as Uncle Donald and the nephews. And I could have cried puddles at that point because it was just so special to me that she gave me that gift of playing in the sandbox together, because all of our sessions were always separate. We would always go in individually. And that was the last time I saw her. That was the last time I saw her before she passed away. And I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. So, when we see each other in passing at the studios, it's special to me because I know that, these moments are special and they can be short-lived, and you never know when you may or may not work with somebody. So I love those moments. I got to meet Frank Welker at one point in passing, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're Frank Welker, and he's like, yes, I am. So yeah, I love those moments. Some of my favorites.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Let's see. Okay, yes. Okay, a lot of the other questions are just, it's my birthday. It's my birthday.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday on Christmas. That's such a special story, Daniel. And I so appreciate you coming on the show and chatting with me today.
Absolutely.
Great to see your face, and I can't wait till the next time we get to actually be together in real life and in the
Yes,
same
indeed.
room.
That day will come. That day will come. And I just want to throw it out there so that I can show my products. I just set up a store at my website, actordanielross.com. So if anybody is interested in an autograph, I have these brand new prints that I've had made for Mickey and the Roadster Racers, for Lucky the Leprechaun, for Starscream, and so many other things. So you can head over to actordanielross.com for that. What else can I tell you? Follow me across social media, Actor Daniel Ross. It's the same everywhere. I thank you for having me, Alicyn. And yeah, it is so good to see you. And I'm glad you're well and you're safe and you're doing these wonderful interviews. And let's do it again sometime.
Let's
if
do
you
it
can
again.
tolerate me.
Yeah, this was so much fun. Well, have a great rest of your day, Daniel. Guys, tune in next week. If you're not already following me, follow next week for JP Carliak, and then followed by Lori Allen, and then we have Sarah Sherman closing out the year. So,
oh my gosh, Sarah's the best.
Yeah, Sarah's a casting director. She was at Disney for 12 years. She's now an independent casting director for shows on Netflix and Hulu. So be sure to tune in, and hopefully you'll tune in too. I'm sure she'll have lots of things to do.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, and I'll see you later for game night. Bye, Donald.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you guys. Tune in next week. Bye.